Welcome back to Live from the Bunker with FUBAR, and we learned a lot of things from E3 2015. We learned that Gamergate is filled with calm, rational people who are not harassing anyone, and we've learned that how little we can put any kind of trust whatsoever in most of the mainstream gaming press, especially when it comes to things like ethics and, well, just reporting the truth instead of opinion. I'm gonna say, first off and foremost, Gamergate really did win E3. First of all, there was the absolutely idiotic tweeting coming from Anita Sarkeesian and her whole social justice warrior mob, embarrassing themselves with their tweets about the new Doom game. We got a whole bunch of people who were incredibly embarrassed after they found out that the person who is behind the new Deus Ex game is actually of African descent. After everyone was calling racism, and the whole reason why they used the word apartheid um, in the game was because of privileged white game developers, which clearly is not the case in this particular instance. So, yeah, the social justice warrior mob really did not come off all that great at E3. In fact, as like one of my favorite people on Twitter I like to follow said, let's just sit back and watch them make fools of themselves. Gamergate does not have to do a thing, and Gamergate really did not have to do a thing to embarrass the ever living hell out of the social justice warriors. They were doing it themselves. And of course, there was the whole controversy about all the posters that were going up all over E3, that were making fun of Anita Sarkeesian, which they were claiming Gamergate was behind, but it turns out Gamergate was not. And Review Tech USA posted a video about that, and was saying how he was like proud of the gaming community for letting Anita Sarkeesian know that she was not welcomed there. And thanks for the praise, dude, but it was not Gamergate behind that. It was some other group. Uh, and everyone in Gamergate was even saying, it's not Gamergate behind these posters. It's someone else. And lo and behold, it was someone else. And I did hypothesize that it was possibly Anita Sarkeesian supporters who were behind it. And I said I would correct myself once the truth came out if it turned out I was wrong. And it's still iffy on who exactly is responsible. What is known is it was not anyone from Gamergate. What is known, it was either one of these like pranking and trolling groups that does stuff in that particular area to try to cause fights between groups of polar opposite people, or some people are still saying that it might be Anita Sarkeesian supporters who are behind it. We're not 100% sure on either of those things, like I said in my earlier video. But after all of this, a lot of the mainstream gaming press is claiming that E3 2015 showed that Gamergate was dead because of the number of female heroines in upcoming video games. Wow. Getting really tired of your crap. Really, really tired. First of all, games take years to develop. So all these games featuring strong female characters that were showcased at E3 2015 have been in the works long before Gamergate and long before Anita Sarkeesian and her bullcrap showed up. So, wrong on that one, guys. And part two, this is really them trying to get some kind of victory out of this whole mess because of how terribly they failed at E3, embarrassing themselves and making themselves look stupid. This includes IGN and a few other of the big name gaming media outlets. They really embarrassed themselves. They jumped the gun on that entire poster fiasco. They didn't bother doing any kind of research into what was going on and who might actually be behind that. They just immediately blamed Gamergate. And there were people on Twitter with people without degrees in journalism and with very limited resources who weren't even there, who did 15 minutes of research to discover that there were possible other sources of those posters. But certain media outlets decided to just jump the gun and blame Gamergate for the entire thing. And I will commend a few of them for retracting their stories later. A few of them did. After a lot of people, including me, went to their sites and said, hey, it's kind of been discovered that it wasn't Gamergate. Would you please retract this and issue an apology? There have been a few retractions. There have been, as far as I'm aware, no apologies. And I'm not the least bit surprised about that. But of course, those apologies and retractions, they were dragging their heels to post those. They, just immediately had the knee-jerk reaction to publish the story without doing any kind of fact checking. And you know what? Just goes to show you, their level of integrity and their level of ethics in journalism, which is what Gamergate is all about. For those of you who don't know, or who are still claiming that it's a harassment movement. Now, like I was saying, they lost big time. So now they're trying to say that all these strong female characters are in response to Gamergate. No, they are not. They are not. They're first, like I said before, it takes years to develop video games. So those video games were in the works long before Gamergate existed. But on top of that, no, there have been loads upon loads upon loads upon loads of strong female characters in video games. Metroid, Left 4 Dead. I can name a freaking million video games that have strong female characters who don't have to be scantily clad to be in a video game. Like, the social justice warriors say that's the only kind of way that women are ever portrayed in video games. Bull freaking crap. Like the whole Tomb Raider fiasco that just popped up with Anita Sarkeesian saying that it was nice to see Lara Croft in a jacket instead of something skimpy. She's been wearing a jacket since the first damn game, you idiot. You freaking idiot. I'm at my end, I try to do these rants calmly and rationally, but I really am at my end. I've been pushed just a little too freaking far because of how full of crap these people are and how delusional they are. And just trying to spin everything to make it look like they're the ones who are right and they're the ones who are winning when they are not, when they are so clearly losing this battle, which is about ethical game journalism. It's just freaking ridiculous. Now, on top of that, a bunch of them are trying to get one of the developers on the new Doom game fired because he actually commented on all of Anita Sarkeesian's idiotic tweets and her partner, whoever the hell that guy's name is, Sharktican or whatever, Mick whatever, because they were both, bashing Doom for being super violent, and for crying out loud. Can't have, sexy women in video games, can't have violence in video games, just go play freaking golf or something. You do not belong in the video game journalism industry. In fact, you don't belong in the journalism industry because you can't write anything that's not biased. That being said, a bunch of Anita Sarkeesian supporters are now trying to get this poor guy fired from his job and this was the entirety of his comment on those tweets. Ha ha, winning. That was it. That was the only comment he made. And I think that was more in regard to, Doom has always pushed the envelope on violence. In fact, it was one of the games that caused the whole uproar about violence in video games back in the 90s. And now we've got a brand new controversy about violence in video games in the 90s. He issued a very lengthy statement saying that he was not, bashing any particular group of people or, showing allegiance with another group of people, meaning Gamergaters versus anti-Gamergaters. He was just, that was just his response to all the press that the Doom game was, making. And yet again, because they have lost so many other battles in E3, they're hopping onto this thing to try to get this poor guy fired for just that one little tweet that, yeah, people were talking about the game. You're winning. That's the whole point of E3, to get the most press as humanly possible for your game. But yeah, so now they're jumping onto that. And that is bull crap. Show your support of this game dev. I will post a link to what he said in his rebuttal. But okay, so there's that. They're trying to, get this poor guy fired because they lost everything else at E3 2015. But there's also a very good article on I don't remember what the name of the website is called, but the title of the article is Gaming Press Fail. Daily Beast claims E3 heroines prove Gamergate is dead, and I will post a link to that article because a lot of the big gaming press, the mainstream gaming press is claiming that Gamergate is dead because of all the female heroines and so forth. They're really kind of delusional. A lot of them are. It's ridiculous. And this is exactly why the whole Gamergate movement started, because there are so many people in gaming journalism who are really showing off how unethical they are and how incredibly biased they are. And the great thing about the internet is, not only can you get the opinion of, mainstream outlets like the big video game media outlets, but you can also get the opinion of small guys who are just YouTube reviewers or bloggers or just review stuff on Twitter or whatever, to tell you whether or not a game is crap or not, or whether or not a move that a company is making is crap or not. Because the big media outlets, they don't want to step on any of the developers or big game publishers' toes because it might get them into a bit of trouble. Kind of like Kotaku not getting invited to the Ubisoft press conference this year. There was a really great tweet about that. Someone, wrote to Kotaku saying, "Hey, sorry you couldn't get into the Unisoft presentation, but unfortunately they're only letting journalists in this year." And I kind of laughed my butt off about that one. Very funny. Thank you to whoever posted that on Twitter. I wish I could credit you, but I can't remember who said it. So yeah, there's that too. Now, in addition, there's an upcoming journalism event. I'm looking on Twitter right now to find the name of it. Crap. But anyway, it's a debate which is hosted by actual people within the legitimate journalism community. People who write for magazines, newspapers, that kind of stuff. And the thing that they wanted to do as a subject for this particular debate was the whole Gamergate thing. And they have been able to get plenty of people who are willing to come in and argue on the Gamergate side of things. There are plenty of people within the Gamergate community who are willing to go to this thing and do an entire, unbiased debate with these people. And when I first saw the guy who's hosting this' tweets about the whole thing, it sounded like he was leaning way more over to the anti-Gamergate side than he was the Gamergate side. That was just my opinion. That was just kind of like the tone of what he was tweeting about the event. But okay, it was called the SPJ Airplay. That's a hashtag. Check it out on Twitter if you want to get some more information about it. So they're trying to do this debate, and they're trying to get someone from the anti-Gamergate movement to show up to do the debate, and no one is willing to. None of the big names in the anti-Gamergate crowd are willing to show up for this event. Now, my thoughts on that. They probably don't want to show up because there's going to be, actual journalists there. People who have things like ethics and integrity. And plus, if anti-gamergaters have to be within a forum where the, the other side is going to get equal time, and they're going to have to be civil, and there's going to be a moderator to stop things if things get too heated. The anti-gamergaters don't want to attend something like that. What they want to attend is something that where they can just get the opposing side thrown out, kind of like what happened at the Calgary Expo. They don't want to sit down and talk about things rationally. They just want their little podium so they can say all the things that they want to say and all the lies that they want to lie about, and not have anyone there. Just have their supporters there. Not have anyone who's going to call them on their crap. Like, that's what this whole Death Eaters thing was. When someone was calling Gamergate the Death Eaters because they were afraid to say Gamergate because they didn't want people from Gamergate showing up to ask questions or to call these people on some of their crap. So pretty much, if you're having like some kind of symposium or lecture or something like that, and the room is just filled with people who agree with you already, what's the point? Really? You're preaching to the converted. All these people are afraid to let actual gamergaters into their little lectures and debates and so forth because they know that it would be very easy to call them on all their crap and all the crap they've pulled and all the lies that they've told. And that's why they don't want to attend this event. Now, one person did say he would attend, but he has a $30,000 lecture fee. Wow. There you go. That's really what the anti-Gamergate movement is all about, guys. Big dollar signs. So there's that. But so it looks like this event probably won't happen. However, I'm willing to make this sacrifice for all of you out there. For all you anti-Gamergaters out there, I am willing to go to the SPJ Airplay debate and argue for the anti-Gamergate side. And I will do so for the low price of $29.95. That's right, people, $29.95. But wait, there's more. If you invest that $29.95, I will not only go to SPJ Airplay to defend the anti-Gamergate side, I will throw in another debate of your choosing for me to show up for and debate on the anti-Gamergate side. That's two events that I will do the low lecture fee of $29.95 for two events. Now, that being said, I can make absolutely no guarantees that I'm going to be sober for this. That's just how I roll. In fact, I can't really make a guarantee that I will even be conscious during the debate. I'd say 30-35% I'll be unconscious for it. Maybe a little bit higher if Jägermeister is available. So, you anti-Gamergaters who want someone to debate for you, but don't want to go yourself because your lecture fees are too high and cannot be met, I will do it for $29.95. No problem. So I'm not going to bother doing a Kickstarter or something for that. Just contact me on Twitter, and I'll give you the name and address of the bar where you can go put $29.95 towards my tab. That'll help me out a little bit. So all you anti-Gamergaters, I'm doing you guys a favor here. All right. All joking aside, yeah, that's pretty much all my thoughts on all the crap that's gone down in the last couple of days, and people in the gaming journalism medium who are really showing their colors and they have zero integrity. Just looking at all the people who have been blocking me as of late, who are big names in the gaming industry journalism. Yeah, I think that we're rustling some feathers finally. But anywho, I want to thank you all for listening. And you know what? And like as I say in like all my videos, where I have to deal with Gamergate and the anti-Gamergate movement, go out and educate yourself. Don't just listen to me. Go out there and look up some of the things that Anita Sarkeesian has said and some of the things that other people in the SJW mob have said. And look at all that. But then, after you look at all that, look at what some of the people within the Gamergate community have said and what they are standing for. And make your own decision. People on the anti-Gamergate side do not want you to look at the rational things that Gamergate is saying. They just want to paint Gamergate as a hate movement, as a bunch of misogynists, and well, that they're entitled to their opinion, and so are you. Form your own opinion about this whole thing. Knowledge is power. Don't just blindly follow anti-Gamergate. Don't just blindly follow Gamergate either. Come to your own opinion. All right. Well, I think that's enough, preaching for one day. And I promise, I freaking promise, there is going to be a new Skyrim Let's Play very soon. I know I've been saying that my last few episodes. It's just like every time I think I'm going to be able to sit down and record a Let's Play, something like this happens, and I got to talk about it because I hate it when everyone's too afraid to say it. I feel like I have to say something because it's just so much BS going on. And I just got to do my tiny little part to call these people out on their crap. But yes, there will be a new Skyrim video very soon. I'm going to be doing another series very soon where I'm going to be doing just mods for different video games. And if any of you mod makers are out there listening to this and you have a mod that's available on the Steam Workshop that you want to show off, I would love for you to highlight it on the show and maybe even do a little brief interview with you talking about modding. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I will see you next time in the bunker.
Stronger. You see? You see? Your stupid minds. Stupid! Stupid! That's all I'm taking from you. Get back here, you fool!